Bedbugs don't travel on people, but they can hitchhike on clothing. So particularly they can crawl in the pockets, cuffs of trousers and so forth, book bags, whatever. It's possible, and you can transport a cockroach in the same manner. So just be wary about that. So if you're visiting somebody's home who you believe to have bed bugs, or they're kind enough to tell you, don't put your coat on their bed or on a sofa. Instead, hang it up on a hanger on the back of the door. It won't prevent you from bringing bed bugs home, but it reduces the risk tremendously.
Who is responsible for the extermination, the landlord or the tenant?
The landlord is responsible for the extermination. If bed bugs are in a private home and the homeowner calls us, we can't send an inspector out, but we can provide information about how to get rid of it. But it is the landlord, the homeowner or the landlord, who's responsible for the extermination.
The extermination process usually requires more than one treatment due to the life cycle of bedbugs. Their eggs are hard-shelled and they are not affected by the pesticides. So a second application should be done about 2 weeks after the first, when the eggs have hatched but the bedbugs have not grown enough to have reproduced. For the extermination, hire a licensed, experienced professional and have all adjacent units inspected and treated on the same day. Always be aware that bedbugs travel from unit to unit through the walls and ducts of the building. Remember, moving out does not solve the problem. You'll leave bedbugs for the next resident while bringing bedbugs into your new home.
The first thing I think a landlord needs to do when they deal with bedbugs is not to panic. Far too many landlords start worrying about, oh, I need to do this and I need to do that. They need to calm down and realize that they just have to attack the problem systematically. The step one, I think, for any landlord is educate yourselves on the requirements of the state sanitary code. The state sanitary code requires that if you're an owner-occupant of a 3-unit or more building, or if you're a non-owner occupant of any building, you are required to maintain that building free of insects. So if you learn that there are bed bugs, you have an absolute requirement to take the steps to try and deal with the problem right away. If you want to truly, and you're going to truly attack the problem of bed bugs, you're going to require the cooperation of all the tenants in the building. And in fact, the calmer that you are when you talk to your tenants, the more reassured that they're going to feel that you've actually have the system well in hand. I think the next system that you have to talk about is, what do landlords have in terms of preventative maintenance? Now, a lot of times landlords tend to be reactive as opposed to proactive. And when you deal with bed bugs, it is far better for landlords to be proactive, to set up systems in advance to address the situation. For example, do you have a system for notifying tenants about what they could and should do about bed bugs? I also think about what systems do you have for preparing the unit to exterminate it. Do you let the tenants know what they need to do? Because it's fairly extensive, and that's going to require a lot of cooperation from the tenant to prepare the apartment. The more the tenants know in advance that you do have the systems, the more likely you're going to have cooperation. And finally, what systems does a landlord have for monitoring the situation? Do you inspect your apartments regularly? Do you in fact have an integrated pest management program? And do you have an exterminator on call? I'm going to suggest if you're a landlord, you should have access to all of that information and have those systems in place.
Most people do not feel the bed bugs when they're walking on the person. Normally the bed bugs are active in the wee hours of the morning when most people are asleep and the lights are off. You generally don't feel them walking on you. You generally don't feel them feeding on you. And what you notice is the next day or a few hours later, these bite-like reactions, which may or may not be itchy. Most importantly is to recognize that bed bugs do not transmit any pathogen from person to person. At least there's no evidence that they do.
The bites you could treat with ice. If you have some type of Benadryl cream or anti-itch cream, you could put that on your skin.
My advice would be, first, stop scratching. Scratching causes more harm. It'll cause more harm than that offered by the bed bugs themselves. If you scratch a bed bug bite or a mosquito bite, you're going to intensify the reaction. You'll make it worse. You'll make it feel itchier. And rather than going away in a day, it may, that lesion, the itchy lesion may hang around for 3, 4, 5 days or more. Bed bug bites are sterile. As I said, the bugs are not transmitting anything into you. There should be no bacteria on the bed bug's mouth parts. So it's an itchy wound, and that's it. If you have any question about a health issue, see your physician.
Bed bugs are just something that exist in the world, and they are found anywhere there are people. It doesn't mean that everybody has them, but because they're out there in the community, people can pick them up from their neighbors or from a movie theater, from a hotel. If you buy used furniture, if you buy a used mattress or pick up a used mattress from the street, you can bring them into your own house.